Hello everyone and welcome to episode 30. Today, we'll be taking on the Rock-type Elite Four member, meeting a new Eeveelution, and of course, revealing a couple new Pokemon based on your suggestions. So, be sure to stick around for those. But first, recap time. In the last episode, you successfully battled and defeated Kyler, the Ghost-type head researcher and his little Spookion. Unfortunately, you saw Grant get tossed out of the next Elite Four member's lab. You run into the lab, though you could have sworn that you entered a cave. The walls are made of solid rock. Topher, the sturdy rock-type head researcher, saunters over to you.
Are you going to be more of a challenge than your friend who just tried to take me on? Just because most of the revived fossil Pokemon we create here no longer have rock typing, doesn't mean that rock-type Pokemon are something to underestimate. Let's see if you understand that.
Topher leads with Resonneedle. It's a tough bug, but you manage to take it down. Next up, Topher brings out the artistic Quilvamere. After you break through its defenses, Topher sends out a familiar silhouette. We introduced a pre-evolution to Aerodactyl a while back, and now it's time for it to finally get its evolution. Now, this is one fossil line that is keeping the rock typing all the way through. And that is due to Mega Aerodactyl being said to be closer to its ancient form. So we're going to use Mega Aerodactyl as inspiration, but I didn't want to worry about deviating too much from its silhouette. Now, there are some Mega Evolutions that just feel a little too much at times, and Mega Aerodactyl rides that line. It's basically like, hey, I heard you like Aerodactyl! Well, what do you think about rock spikes? Whoa, so cool! And, there's part of me that appreciates how much they just went for it, so we're not gonna really shy away from the rock spikes too much. I also wanted to reference some of the seemingly impractical, long, ornate head crests that other pterosaurs had. So, in the end, we're gonna have a very spiky boy here. To the point that it's probably not a particularly good flyer. So many rock spikes. Like, you may be best buddies with your primal Aerodactyl, but you may struggle to give it a hug. The colors are just following through from Stalactile, and of course the shiny is the regular version's colors. This is Primal Aerodactyl, the fossil Pokemon. The primal form of this well-known Pokemon is wild and incredibly difficult to train. Nearly every part of Primal Aerodactyl's body is covered by sharpened rocky protrusions. They struggle to fly due to their surprising weight, but are effective hunters on the ground as well. And it gets the ability Aerialate, so normal type attacks become flying type with a 20% increased power. And that basically makes up for the fact that it's getting the dragon typing instead of the flying type. This true form of Aerodactyl is quite the challenge. Basically hitting you with triple stab is pretty rough, but you eventually take it down. Next, Topher brings out his Tictanthic. It's big and bulky and a pain to get through. After that, his Blagier cuts down a bunch of your team before finally fainting. Topher is visibly angry that you are doing so much better than your rival, Grant. Left with no other option, he sends out his ace. Ooh-wee, yeah, we are getting really close to having filled in all of the missing Eeveelutions. Just one more after we make this rock type. Yes, the rock type Eevee. Generally, this tends to be one of the more boring Eeveelutions I've seen, and that's usually due to one thing, the color palette. I mean, it's just hard to make it interesting when they just tend to be monochromatic gray or beige blobs. So, we're going to sidestep that issue by not focusing on normal rocks, and instead give our Eeveelution mineral deposits on its body that are actually glistening crystals. We don't want it to be too overwhelming, but the color just breathes so much life into the design. And personality too. The little bit of glitz from the gems replaces what could pretty easily be just another bland and stoic rock type. I went with emeralds for a couple reasons. Firstly, the slightly bluish green just happens to be my favorite color, so that's fun. And secondly, amongst all of the existing Eeveelutions and my new designs, I wanted there to be a good balance of the colors. And other than Leafeon, there's just not a lot of green going on, so these shiny greens are a perfect addition. And to be complimentary, the shiny gets to have rubies. Okay, let's meet our rock-type Eeveelution, Gemion, the crystallized Pokemon. This rock-type Eeveelution fosters the growth of strong crystals on its body by rolling around in rare mineral deposits. Gemions sometimes forget about the abrasive nature of their rocky protrusions, as their affectionate nature often leaves their trainers with scrapes and bruises. Researchers suspect that Gemion crystals may be different in other regions, and its ability is clear body, because of the crystals, and that prevents other Pokemon from lowering its stats. It takes quite some time to chip away at this cute little rock type, but you do manage to take it down. Topher heals it back up and lets it snug into his beard as he congratulates you.
You didn't crumble under the pressure, and I applaud that. Here, you will need this.
Needing only one more access code, you are ready to burst into the final lab. That'll be in the next episode, but before we end this episode, I've got 2 more Pokemon to reveal. These 2 are based on the suggestion from James Gabor. James wanted me to look at the extinct giant platypuses, or platypi, whichever you prefer. Not only that, but James also had a genius idea to play up the pieced together look of platypuses, and then kind of work it into a ghostly taxidermy look. Now, I won't be showing any footage of me drawing these Pokemon, as I'll be using those to make a How to Create Fakemon series in the near future. So, we're actually just going to hop straight to the Dex entries. First up is Platy Stitch, the Sown Pokemon. Fossils of this ancient ghost type confounded researchers for decades. Platy Stitch fossils were initially believed to be a collection of unrelated species. Its pieced-together appearance appears to be a defense mechanism as it spooks other Pokemon. Platy Stitch enjoy consuming electricity as it helps power their ghostly bodies. And its ability then is Lightning Rod. So instead of taking any damage from electric-type attacks, it has its special attack raised. It's pretty stinking adorable. But since those giant extinct platypuses were, well, giant, it'll need to get much bigger when it evolves. It also has an additional influence. Let me know if you can spot it. Say hello to Platy Stein, the Sown Pokemon. This lumbering ghost type appears quite ghoulish, but is incredibly gentle and kind. Potentially due to the assortment of body parts it sports, Platy Stein regularly use water, poison, electric, and of course, ghost-type attacks. They don't have the best control over their stitched-together bodies and are incredibly clumsy. And the ability remains Lightning Rod because of a Frankenstein reference. These 2 turned out to be a great addition to the ghost type. And while I could have added a number of secondary types, it's always nice to have another monotype in there. You'll have to let me know what you think of these 2 down in the comments. And again, be sure to keep an eye out for the How to Create Fakemon series that I will be releasing after the Paleon region wraps, where I'll be using these 2 to showcase my process. Alrighty, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts on today's episode down in the comments below, and a big thank you to Topher for being our Rock-type Elite Four member. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!